The best lesson for travel. I always want to mix a little bit of fun with business travel. I think, I'm not someone that was used to doing a ton on my own as far as that goes. But I think it's a sad thing if you're in some amazing cities and you can't just take an hour to yourself and experience something in the city, go to a restaurant and get to know the people or the culture, just like the best food there. So I think that's really, really important. I think that's the perk you get. And so many people, some of us complain. I know I have at one point when there was, 30, 40 trips a year. And some of those were 5 to 7 day trips, or when I used to spend a week of my life in Northwest Arkansas every month at one of the startups I worked at. I feel like people tend to complain about travel sometimes. And, when I talk to people that don't get to do that, they think I have the best job ever. And while I wouldn't want to be a total road warrior out with an 80% kind of travel schedule, I think we need to remember that and how lucky we are and how easy it is now compared, to what, even 30, 40 years ago, what we didn't have access to. So all the tools, all the technology, it makes it, just so fast to get somewhere. And usually to get back. And if there's anything, just if we could all be a little bit nicer to the people that kind of are in the industry, serving all of us, in hospitality and in, airline flights, a lot of the things that happen are out of their control. And I think if we were all just a little bit nicer, in these high stress environments of travel, it would make it better for everybody else. But just how lucky, we're really lucky to be able to do this and see so many places. I'll never forget that experience at this employer, at the NRF, as well as, some of the other companies I've been able to work with and kind of see the world because of it.
When you travel for a vacation, you don't worry about a wrinkled shirt. But when you travel for business, being connected, being presentable, and not having dead batteries are true causes for concern. So get on board for some business travel hacks with your host, Brian Eisenberg.
I am Artemis Berry. I am a VP at the National Retail Federation and a mom and a daughter and a wife and a sister. So a bunch of roles. And my home airport is Washington National, DCA. I'm very lucky that I get to travel a lot. The reason I get to is my organization hosts conferences and dinners and member visits all over the U.S. and just a little bit internationally. So I have the pleasure of either organizing a lot of that or just being a member of the team responsible for different programs and experiences for our members.
What do you wish you knew when you first started traveling for business that you now know?
So my first business trip was, I'm trying to even think if I was 21. I think I may have just turned 22 years old. I checked my luggage and did a flight. I was at a startup and I was trying to keep it cheap. Took a flight to Northwest Arkansas with multiple airlines and at least one stop, just trying to save money for the organization somehow. And they lost my luggage. So my first business trip, I lost my luggage and had to go to Gap and Belk in Northwest Arkansas to have clothing. I learned to always have on fast trips, one, to just try to avoid checking my luggage, not to fly to different airlines, and with quick turnarounds, and to kind of think about what I'm wearing to a on flight. So I've done a mix of, sometimes I wear athletic clothes and sneakers to not have to pack my sneakers and really try to get the workouts in. I was in much better shape then, and I really always prioritize that. But it does leave you in a situation if for any reason your luggage is lost. So if you have to check in, I try to think about what I'm wearing to make sure it could last me at least through one business meeting or situation if I'm ever in that position again. But that was, I think my first thing would be, please find luggage where you don't have to check in your bag whenever that is possible.
Talking about your bags, it sounds like you preferably just bring stuff aboard. You don't check anything in. When you pack, do you have any special tips about how you pack, how you plan out what you take with you?
Yeah.
Any special luggage that you're using to or techniques that you use to make your rollerboard and carry on a little bit more functional?
Yeah, I have some tips. Actually, I learned from a few of our little circuit from the shop.org days. I know one of the founders of eBags, which was an awesome brand. For really short trips, I use the Professional Weekender. There's a really nice version that actually it looks really sleek. It's this gray material. For dinners where I'm just hosting for a night or maybe having one meeting or visiting one, great retail office, I take that. I mean, you could fit a ton in there. It has a great sections. I'm able to carry my work bag needs as well as my actual clothing. Tough if you want to take workout clothes on my end just because of heels plus workout shoes, but it was that's a go-to for me. I love it. I've shared it, and even my husband borrows it from me when he goes on trips. The other, I as far as bags, even when I've had to check in, I refuse to do anything without kind of the spinning capability. I haven't checked out the away bags yet, but I'm super curious about those based on what I see on social about them. So that's kind of next on my list to look at or invest in or compare to other products. And then as far as packing the bag goes, the eBags cubes, there's different brands also, but I should say I found mine on eBags years ago. Being able to pack and sort either, I've done it in different ways, either by outfit, by day, just so there's zero thinking for long, 16-hour event planning days or, bid strategy meetings or whatever we're at. So I depend on those. I've also just organized stuff when I'm traveling, when it's not just business, if I'm mixing business with a vacation at the end, and for any reason bringing family, I use that to separate my belongings from anybody else's that I may be traveling with, if it's my husband or my daughter or both. So cubes are really key. The Professional Weekender is a lifesaver, and then anything where I can spin. I've been loyal to Samsonite over the years, but I'm loving to explore some other options for my next purchase. Yes.
What is your favorite travel hack?
Favorite travel hack. So my favorite travel hack is my daughter gets, especially when she was younger. So I have a 3.5-year-old, and she would get upset, especially when she was only, I think, a year and a half when I would travel. And I started when she was just about 6 months old. Some of my team members were able to take on the first few months, so I didn't have to travel. But at 7, I was gone for 5 days. And she was very different with me when I came back. But at a year and a half, 2 years, it got a lot worse with her understanding. And so gifts, right? You bribe, I bribed my child. So I would get gifts. And when you go to some of these resorts like Terranea or in LA and, different very nice resorts, especially in the West Coast, you're paying 2 times the price for some of the, in resort shops to get something. And the airport stuff, sometimes is fine, but I wanted something, that she would actually appreciate and not just throw around. So my hack is whenever I travel for business, I have ordered whatever toy book item that I know she would want anyway. So I've ordered it, and sometimes it's already arrived before I've even gone on the trip, and I hide it in my home office. And when I get back, I give it to her like that was the gift that I purchased there. But I'm either saving a bunch of money because it's just cheaper to do it that way, or I'm able to get her the product that she may be more into at the moment. And that was a huge hit for books because when that was those board books were her favorite thing for a while, I was able to just keep a pile. And for a while I had a bunch of back-to-back trips, and I was able to do this, for those that aren't into bribing or spoiling in that way, not a good tip for you, but for us, it was perfect. And I stopped spending, $70 on a crazy pair of shoes I bought her for no reason at a resort. So that's my hack. It ties parenting, or early parenting and business, and it kept me from taking too many tchotchkes from some of our awesome sponsors at events for my child. So that's my hack.
Do you have a dream destination you haven't quite gotten to yet, but you can't wait to go to?
Just talk about this. I really want to go to Greece. As far as personal travel, professional travel, we've looked at doing some things in Vancouver, and I've wanted, it's just close enough, and a lot of great retail brands right in that area or a short drive away. So Vancouver is one of the cities I have not made it to that I would love to for business.
What is your biggest travel pet peeve?
Middle seats. I mean, can that be a pet peeve? I cannot handle being in the middle seat. I would say my biggest is probably if I'm traveling with people and they aren't early birds arriving at airports. So I'm an early bird. I've never missed a flight. I can't imagine that feeling of missing a flight. I have way too much anxiety for that. So I think it's if people are not, if I'm traveling with someone for work and we're not on the same wavelength about how last minute you should be for airport travel. And maybe if they don't have TSA pre and you feel like you have to hang around with them, those are several pet peeves. Middle seat would take it though. Middle seat.
Thank you for listening to Business Travel Hacks with your host, Brian Eisenberg. Catch us on the web at businesstravelhacks.com or at Business Travel Hacks on Facebook and Instagram.